Hi everyone, it's Dr. Adrienne with Healthy Living Chiropractic. Here we are for our Thursday live. Sorry I'm a couple minutes behind. I was finishing up with patients. But today we're going to be finishing up our month of New Year nutrition. So we're going to be discussing parasites today. So parasites are things that obviously people don't necessarily love to talk about. We don't always realize that everybody pretty much has worms, right? A lot of our animals do. What's wrong with, or why do we expect that potentially humans don't either? So unfortunately, everybody has parasites. Some sources say that 70% of people are dealing with them on a basis where they're causing some level of physical concern, and they're also have been shown to be one of the main causes of cancer. So there's a lot of research right now about that. So we'd like to dive into that at another time. But anyway, like I said, we all have viruses, bacteria, parasites all on and around our bodies. And oftentimes our immune system is able to handle these things and fight them on a regular basis. The problem comes into play when your immune system is no longer able to handle it or to adapt to it, and that's when your body becomes sick or kind of taken over. So oftentimes people cannot necessarily even realize they have them. So that's why we're here to talk about it. The big piece is when the immune system is off balance, we want to help to balance that out. So what we're going to talk today about is certain sources of parasites in our lives and kind of how we get them, what types of symptoms one can experience if they do have parasites, and then what it is we can do about them. So we're going to kind of cover those few things today in our discussion. So common sources of parasites. So many people think of traveling to other countries and drinking the water, right? That's where a lot of people will and do contract parasites. We know that when we travel out of the country, we want to make sure we drink bottled water. That being said, we want to untreated drinking water is kind of one of the number one causes. Also in the water, swimming, doing lake water. That's why no one drinks lake water. We always want to make sure it's purified. But even just walking in the soil, that's where they're located as well too. So on your feet, you have the largest pores in your body. So parasites can actually, microscopic ones, can kind of get inside the pores of the feet and get into the body that way. Gardening, I mean, many of you know I love to garden. There's a lot of parasites in our soil. So obviously wearing gloves is huge, but things can get in through the body as well. Food, so unwashed produce. Even though, like I said, we do garden quite a bit at home, I use a lot of the Young Living veggie wash to make sure I get the bugs and the parasites and things off of our food before we eat them. That's really important. Another source is your uncooked seafood. So how many here love sushi? I do. Well, I did until I realized I had parasites in my brain. So now I eat the cooked stuff if I eat it at all. So uncooked meats is a huge source for parasites. And additionally from our pets. Like, we all love our pets. I love my dog more than anything, but animals get worms. And so if they have them on their saliva, they lick you, there's another source as well too. So I'm not saying don't hug your pets. I'm just saying, hey, let's get checked for parasites. So those are the big sources and kind of where we can find them in our environment. The main symptoms that we see, especially in our practice, are GI issues. So stomach issues, gas, bloating, diarrhea are all signs that a person may be dealing with parasites. Mental issues, anxiety, brain fog, mood disorders can also be tied into parasites. Many of you know I was diagnosed, or I had a parasite basically in my brain. The symptom that I was experiencing was vision loss on my right side. So I had really no idea. I didn't have any of these other symptoms. I had vision loss. Weight loss, so nausea. Also, if a parasite is inside your system, they feed off of you. I mean, that's kind of the definition of a parasite. So they steal the nutrients. So weight loss is one symptom, but also fatigue can be another symptom as well, because they're doing that. They're taking the nutrients from you. Nutrient deficiencies, such as B vitamins, are definitely oftentimes taken from the parasites. So that can be another symptom. Joint pain, tooth grinding. So teeth grinding and clenching, especially at nighttime, is a sign of potential parasites in the body. And then itching, vaginal itching, anal itching, and skin rashes and lesions can also be a sign that there are parasites in the body. So those are all kind of signs and symptoms that we can see. and those could definitely be causing, reactions or symptoms from having parasites. The main reason why having parasites are so harmful, I mean, aside from the fact that there's worms inside your body, is that they can create blockages in certain organs or ducts. So we'll oftentimes see them in the liver, and in the liver you've got the gallbladder and the common bile ducts and the hepatic ducts, and those, because if there are worms in there or there are parasites in there, they can create lesions that can cause those things to be blocked, thus causing stones, thus causing other types of health issues. So that's a really big concern. Another thing is that when parasites are in your body and when they die off, they secrete certain toxic chemicals that can impair our brain function, thus the mood disorders, but they can also cause some imbalances in your hormones. So a lot of women are dealing with too much estrogen, too much progesterone, a lot of hormonal imbalances. Many people don't realize that these hormonal imbalances can be caused by parasites. So that's another really important thing to take a look at. So what is it that we do about it, right? I've talked about the sources, I've talked about things that can happen as a result of experiencing or having parasites in your body. What do? So in the medical world, they can do blood tests. They can also do stool tests to see if there are bugs in those. Oftentimes they can give false negatives because they have to be in that specific sample. So a lot of times the parasites can be in different parts of the body or lodged in organs, not necessarily coming out of the stool initially. So you can have a test like, oh, everything's clear, but the parasites may be in a different part of your body. They may be in your sinuses, and you're not going to get that from a stool sample. Where you will see it in the stool is after we start with some supplementation to actually kill the parasites, then you may see them in your stool. So that's kind of where you might find them. But what we do in our office and what other natural healthcare practitioners do is that they'll take a full, thorough history. If a patient has any of these kinds of things we discussed, that's one thing I'm thinking is potentially parasites. We can then do quantum nutrition testing evaluation and check and see and find out what the body's actually dealing with and ask it if it's dealing with parasites, and that can give us some really good answers. And then we can test the body using our test kits to determine if certain supplements will be helpful for them or not. So that's kind of how we handle them in our office. We then put them on a course of a treatment and a membership where we start certain supplements. We have a lot of herbal supplements that are designed to kill the parasites. They have wormwood, they have black walnut hull, they have a lot of really good herbal tinctures that are able to grab and kill the parasites, and therefore then the body can excrete them. I don't ever recommend that people just start taking supplements on their own. You want to make sure that you have proper drainage, because if you start killing parasites inside your body, that's going to create, remember I mentioned there's those toxic chemicals that they give off. If you go and kill a bunch of parasites and they're still in your body, you can get very, very sick. So I highly recommend that if this is something that you're concerned about, that we have a discussion about it, that we can actually go about it properly, make sure the drainage funnels are open so that the body is pooping, the body is draining, the liver is clearing, so that when we start that die-off and we start to kill them, then we can help you in a good, positive way. So I know the conversation about parasites isn't always a happy one, but nonetheless, there are some things that we can do in our office where we can help people to feel and function so much better. I personally have been dealing with parasites over the last year and a half almost. It's not a quick 3-month process. Oftentimes it can take up to 12 to 18 months in order to kind of properly clear parasites. But I tell you, it's a game changer. My life feels so much better. My body feels so much better because of the help that I've gotten and the supplements that I've been taking personally. I've had a handful of patients that have already been clearing parasites. I had one patient tell me last week that she did pass one, which I don't know, as a practitioner gets me excited. For you, though, you guys listening may be nasty, but it's telling me that what we're doing is working. We're clearing these things out of her body, and she's on the road to health and recovery. So I just wanted to share that with you today, talking about some parasites. If you are experiencing any of those issues, the GI problems, the mental concerns, skin problems, sinus problems, you name it, I would love to have a conversation with you to see how it is that we can help you. Please feel free to reach out, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Happy Thursday. Bye.